all I have to say is if half of these reports involving this potential alliance are true, that I think this is pretty pathetic. This is supposedly like a, quote, non-aggression pact against the SEC. And if your goal is to stop SEC expansion, as I've stated in previous conference realignment videos, especially to the Big Ten, the school where, like, Michigan, my favorite school, resides, you have to step up and you have to poach other schools from the Big 12. I've also mentioned Notre Dame, or maybe even some powerful and well-known Group of Five schools who somehow fall in line with the academic requirements that the Big Ten imposes and can make significant revenue. You have to step up and expand. These non-aggression pacts, in a certain sense, won't work, though there's always, with how football has been going and with the complicated money measures, there's always a way, in a certain sense. I'm going to read an article about this by CBS Sports. Not going to read all of it. I'm just going to mainly read, I'd say, the first half. It is a 4-minute read. I'm going to link the article down below. And actually, why not? Why not go through and read mostly the whole thing to you guys and discuss parts of it? The Big Ten, ACC, and Pac-12 are expected to announce a long-awaited alliance within the next 2 weeks, sources tell CBS Sports. The greatest influence the alliance is expected to have will be on the future NCAA governance. Realignment among the three conferences is not part of their ongoing discussion. Maybe not realignment, but realignment among the three is different from them making a non-aggression pact and potentially poaching off the remaining Big 12 schools. For example, the Pac-12 could take Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, and become the Pac-16. The Big Ten can take Iowa State and Kansas. Right there, that's just Iowa State, Kansas, that's 6 schools. ACC can take West Virginia and another Group of 5 school, and Kansas State can probably move down or miraculously join the ACC or maybe even the Big Ten. Doubt any of those would happen with K-State, though. The alliance became a priority after Texas and Oklahoma moved to the SEC. The talks between these three conferences is described by one source as a non-aggression pact against the SEC after the Longhorns and Sooners announced that they were going to move to the SEC in 2025, and that tipped the scales toward the SEC and college athletics dealings. Again, a lot of this realignment's about the money. It's why Nebraska moved to the Big Ten. It's why part of the reason why other schools have been leaving the Big 12 for a while, and it's why there's been speculation about some schools somehow leaving the ACC, which those rumors I think are obviously now proven false. The Athletic first reported that an announcement about the alliance could be made as early as next week, and that's just 1 week after CBS Sports and the Athletic reported the trio were actively engaging in discussions about a scheduling alliance. Some of the things, quote, that we've been doing to ourselves that just needs to stop. One high-profile official from a school within the would-be alliance told CBS Sports. Some of this, for lack of a better word, crap, we're talking about expanding to 12 teams in the playoff. For teams that go all the way, that's 17 games. We're going to talk about these kids aren't professionals, blah, blah, blah. I don't understand how that or the previous paragraph fits in. I've read this over, and I don't really see how this fits with the conversation. You all who can read the article, if you are interested in read through it, let me know how you think that the the fourth and fifth paragraph fit in to the conversation. What may be the central point of the alliance is college athletics remains wary of SEC and ESPN dominating, and the Big 12 revenue will be halved at minimum with the losses of Texas and Oklahoma, and it serves ESPN well. That's why there's conspiracy theories And I think they're more close to factual than conspiracy about them breaking up the Big 12, because that's one less set of TV rights to pay out. Even with an alliance, the SEC would maintain its advantage as the conference with the most best teams, along with the fact that the South produces the most football talent. People are moving down south. That's just where the money is, like, kind of period, in a sense. A scheduling alliance between the Big Ten, ACC, and Pac-12 would enhance schedule strength and create interesting non-conference games. An example of that would be Michigan and Clemson. They've never matched up before. That'd be a top 25 game most likely, and that'd be an interesting one. But any scheduling piece of an alignment would not have an immediate impact. Big Ten and Pac-12 discussed a scheduling alliance in 2012. The discussions fell apart, but back then it was reported that it would take at least 5 years until non-conference schedules could be adjusted accordingly. One Power 5 athletic director speculated to CBS Sports it could take 10 years to unwind non-conference schedules. An example is Michigan plays Oklahoma in 2026 and Texas in 2027. Does the program want to add another Power 5 game from the Pac-12 or ACC in those 3 years and then play a Big Ten schedule? If you're Jim Harbaugh and you somehow stay around, then no, you don't, because those 2 games will get you fired. Fired. That's just a little rant there. At a minimum, the alliance wants to be viewed as an entity that shares similar views as the NCAA is in the process of being remade. A constitutional convention will be held in November to essentially deregulate college athletics. Going forward, the conferences will have more control over legislation. There's more concern about the makeup of the committee, and it goes on to describe the makeup of the NCAA committee. And the alliance could have several impact as they hold power. They hold 60% of the current Power 5. That'd give them an advantage over the SEC, pardon me, if, let's say, votes on all of this were like one for each school or something crazy like that I doubt will happen. It seems to be another, what appears to be 23-person committee, which was expanded from 18 over an outcry of lack of representation. Michigan AD Ward Manuel said, I think it's a big portion from my perspective, talking about the alliance's academic pursuits, that's going to be critical long-term to what we want to do. And, honestly, I agree. The Big Ten makes tons of revenue from academics. Pac-12 is pretty good with academics. I mean, you have Stanford, USC, UCLA, all that good academic stuff that the SEC doesn't necessarily have, in a sense. And ACC also has some other decent and great athletic schools. So looking at all of this, the alliance could very well be beneficial if it's played right, but I still believe firmly that each of these conferences, if they're going to schedule a non-aggression pact, have to step up and take some more schools to become super conferences themselves. You can't just leave the Big 12 to 8 teams unless the Big 12 actively expands through with other group of 5 schools, like maybe taking Cincinnati, Boise State, like Tulsa, Memphis, some of the ones that have been in the top 25 previously. Houston, for example. In all honesty, I look at that, and Big Ten should start inviting some Big 12 teams that are close to them. ACC should start inviting West Virginia, and the Pac-12 could maybe try to recreate a similar like PAC-16 by inviting Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU, and Oklahoma State. And if the more religious schools don't work out, you could invite Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and maybe even go as far as Kansas, or you could add a school like Boise State, a notable group of 5 team. That's really just my thoughts on this. I'm just reading what's out there because there's, outside of this and speculation, there isn't much official news. Similar to my Nebraska video yesterday, I'm just reporting on stuff. Tomorrow will be a Michigan centered video I found an article that is an interesting perspective, and I want to discuss what I feel like are Michigan fans' perspectives on the season heading into this year. That's all I have to say on this video. If you liked it, like, subscribe if you haven't already, comment your thoughts below, and hit that notification bell so you can watch more of my content and just get it as soon as it's released. Get notifications for it so you can follow those right to my channel. Thank you again for 800 and I believe 59 subscribers at the time of this recording. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I'm hoping to get monetized a little after the season begins. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you around.